Now let us start with one of the lesson. The name of the lesson is History of Novel. And last video you will see that the particularly elements of novel and the particularly information about some writers and their novels. In this particular video you will see that the types of novel: realistic, picaresque, historical, epistolary novels, gothics, autobiographical, and there are many more the types of the novels. First is a realistic novel. A realistic novel is a fiction that gives the effect of realism. Sometimes it is also called the novel of manner. It can be characterized by its complex character with the mixed motives that are rooted in the social class, and the characters are in the realistic novel interact with other characters and undergo the plausible and everyday experiences. Realistic novels they have effect on realism, and that types is novel types is called the novel of manner. And that realistic novel characterized by the complex characters and their motives are rooted in social classes, and that novels has to be interacted with the other characters and their everyday experience, and they have to be entangled with the particularly between the two characters. In Marathi, वास्तववाद कादंबरी. वास्तववादाचे दर्शन घडवणारी कथा यात असते. विशिष्ट सामाजिक वर्गातील गुंतागुंतीतले पात्रांचे, त्यांच्या एकमेकांशी होणारे संवादांचे, दैनंदिन अनुभवांचे वर्णन यात केलेले असते. Second is picaresque novel. The word picaresque is original from the Spanish word picaro, which means rogue. A picaresque novel narrates in adventures of the protagonist, who is an eccentric and disreputable person, is in an episodic form. So in picaresque novel, that derived from the Spanish word picaro, and that means rogue. In that particular novel, there is some kind of the characters they do in adventurous things, and that became the protagonist. And that protagonist, you will know that very well. The word eccentric, away from the center, and there is the another word disreputable, means not respectable. So that is the adventurous things doing by the protagonist in that particularly picaresque novel. In Marathi, picaresque कादंबरी हा स्पॅनिश वर्ड पिकारो वरून घेतलेला, याचा अर्थ नकली. या प्रत्येक प्रकारात विक्षिप्त किंवा तरेवाईक असलेल्या मुख्य पात्राचा साहसाशी एपिसोडिक पद्धतीने वर्णन केलेलं असतं, आणि त्याच्यामध्ये वेगवेगळे एपिसोड हे दिलेले असते. पहिला एपिसोड, दुसरा एपिसोड, तिसरा एपिसोड, अशा पद्धतीने याचं नॉवेलची रचना केलेली असते. Historical novel. Historical novel is a novel set in a period earlier than that of the writing. Means that novel has to be written in some ancient period, and afterwards the sequence of the period are mentioned in that particularly novel. In Marathi, ऐतिहासिक कादंबरी ही इतिहासातील एखाद्या कालखंडावर आधारित असते. Epistolary novel. Epistolary novels. The epistolary derived from the Latin word epistola, which means letter. The epistolary novel is that in which the writers present a narrative thoughts, a series of corresponding in order to document. Although the latter are the most common, basic epistolary novel diaries entries are also popular form of these types. So in this particularly epistolary novel, that word is derived from the Latin epistola, means letter. In that particular period, that time, the letters are very important. The writer can write in a presently narrative thoughts corresponding in document of series of writing the novel. Although that most common basis on epistolary novel, diary entries are the popular in this type. In Marathi, epistorial हा कादंबरी लॅटिन शब्द इपिस्टोला यावरून आलेला आहे. याचा अर्थ पत्र या लेखक पत्रव्यवहार किंवा कागदपत्राच्या मालिकेद्वारे कथा सादर करतो. पत्राव्यतिरिक्त डायरी किंवा दिनदर्शिकेतील नोंदी हाही प्रकार लोकप्रिय आहे. नेक्स्ट इज गोथिक नॉवेल. नॉवेल that is include the terror, mystery, horror, thriller, supernatural, doom, death or decays or haunted buildings are called the Gothic novels. The Gothic novels include, there are so many things. So first we discuss the horror, mystery and terror, you know that. Thrill also. Supernatural, the word doom. Doom means fear and fright. There is another word you will know, will not understand maybe. Mystery, something is secret, or synonym is wrong. Horror, intense painfully emotion of fear. There is thriller, suspenseful. So in that particular novel there is terror, mystery, horror, thrill, supernatural, dooms and delay and decay, haunted things are included in Marathi. या गौथिक कादंबरीमध्ये दहशत, रहस्य, भय, रोमांचिक, अनमानवी शक्ती, विनाश, मृत्यू, भूताटकी, पछाडलेली घरे अशा विषयांची कादंबरी म्हणजे गोथिक कादंबरी होय. नेक्स्ट इज autobiographical novel. The autobiographical novel is the novel based on the life of author. However, the author changes the places and the names, character and even may changes over the certain details of his life. It may be or may not be the first person narrators. Autobiographical novel based on the life of author, and the author changes the places, name, characters, even may change, avoid the certain detail of life, and maybe not uses the first person narrations. यालाच आपण आत्मचरित्र कादंबरी म्हणतो. या लेखकाच्या जीवनावर आधारित कादंबरी असते, मात्र पात्रांची ठिकाणे, नावे, आयुष्यातील काही विशिष्ट माहिती बदलण्याचे स्वातंत्र्य लेखक घेतो. तसेच हे लिखाण प्रथम पुरुषी असतेच असं नाही. नेक्स्ट इज allegorical novel. Allegorical is the story that bears more than one level of meanings. The surface of meaning such novel different from the symbolic meaning of it. The symbolic meaning is of an allegory may be political, religious, historical and philosophical. These particularly allegorical novels is bear more than one level of meaning. That is, the novel is symbolical meaning and that is based on politics, religion, historical and philosophy. रूपकात्मक कादंबरी. रूपक म्हणजे यात एकापेक्षा अनेक अर्थ दडलेले असतात अशी कथा. ही कादंबरी बाह्य अर्थ त्यातील प्रतिकात्मक अर्थापेक्षा वेगळी असते. प्रतिकात्मक अर्थ म्हणजे राजकीय, ऐतिहासिक, धार्मिक आणि तत्वज्ञानाशी संबंधित असू शकतो. अँड देर इज अ बेस्ट एक्झाम्पल ऑफ दॅट allegorical novel is animal farm. Utopian and dystopian novel. Utopian is imaginary community or society possess the idea or quality. It is a common literary theme, especially in the science fiction and speculative fiction. There are two especially forms of fictions as usual, science and speculative in utopian, and that is an imaginary community society possessing ideal qualities, and that is common literary themes. Utopian and dystopian कादंबरी म्हणजेच एक आदर्श गुणधर्म असलेली कादंबरी, समुदायाचा समाज, विशेष विज्ञान कथा, तार्किक, काल्पनिक कथा प्रकारात मोडणारी ही एक प्रचलित साहित्यिक शैली आहे. Psychological novel. Psychology novel is the work of fiction that treats the internal life of protagonist or even the other character as much as the external factors. So that psychology is the mainly work on the internal life of protagonist, even the character and most factors in Marathi. मानसशास्त्रीय कादंबरी. ह्या प्रकारात मुख्य पात्र आणि इतर पात्रांचा अंतर्गत जीवनाचा बाह्य घटकाप्रमाणे महत्त्व आहे. Stream of consciousness novel is a phrase coined by William James in The Realistic Principle of Psychology in 1890, means the flow of thoughts includes the plot's arc in the sequence their occurrence, and the novel's narrative of them enter the minds of the characters. Stream of consciousness means that is mainly coined by William James in treatise Principle of Psychology in 1890. This is the book, and that's a stream of consciousness novel mainly based on the flow of thoughts. What are the thoughts and that flows? That is only uh, considered as the novel stream of consciousness, and this is the thoughts occurrence in the base on that particular plot, and there is mind of the character that discussed in that particularly कॉन्शियस नॉवेल. कॉन्शियसनेस कादंबरी विल्यम जेम्स यांनी मानसशास्त्राचा सिद्धांत 1990 या ग्रंथात ही संज्ञा तयार केली. त्याचा अर्थ विचारांचा प्रभाव. कथानकातील घटना त्याच्या घडणाऱ्या क्रमानुसार येतात आणि जशा त्या पात्राच्या मनात येतात तशा लेखक त्यांचा सादर करत असतो. अनादर वन इज बिल्डंगस्ट्रोमन novel. The German word Bildungsroman indicates growth. The fiction autobiographical or biographical. Biographical and autobiographical is concerned with the growth of the protagonist's mind, spirit, character from the childhood to adolescence. In the first half of the 20th century, the cult of the pulp magazine became the popular with fantastic fiction or the general entertainment of the masses are printed on the cheap pulp papers, and pulp fictions are provided building ground for the detective novels or science fictions. So now, Bildungum Roman novel is the indicate growth, and that is fiction based on biography and autobiography, the growth of protagonist mind, spirit and character from their childhood to adulthood in Marathi. जर्मन भाषेत शब्द वाढीला सूचित करतो. मुख्य पात्राच्या बालपणापासून ते तारुण्यापर्यंत मानसिक, आत्मिक आणि स्वभाव वैशिष्ट्यांच्या प्रगल्भतेवर काल्पनिक चरित्र किंवा आत्मचरित्र आधारित असते. In 20th century, pulp magazine became popular. That became the entertainment of masses people was printed on cheap and pulp paper. Pulp fiction era, building ground and detective novels and science fiction. That pulp magazine based on detective novels and science fiction in 20th century. 20व्या शतकाच्या पूर्वार्धात पल्प लग्न मासिक हा प्रकार लोकप्रिय झाला होता. यामध्ये स्वस्तातल्या स्वस्तात लगदा पल्प कागदावरती सर्वसामान्य करमणुकीसाठी काल्पनिक कथा छापण्याच्या येत होत्या. या पल्प कथांच्या युगांचे डिटेक्टिव्ह रहस्यमय कादंबऱ्या, वैज्ञानिक कथा पाय रचला असे म्हणता येईल. Science fiction is a genre. The speculative fiction deals with the imaginative concepts such as the futuristic settings, futuristic science, technology, space travel, time travel, parallel universe and extraterrestrial lives. And science fiction often explores the potential consequences of science and other innovations. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley 1823 is considered the first novel based on the fiction and technology. The genre flourished in the second half of the 19th century. That science fiction is very well fiction for the people, for the futuristic, and that has to be include many things: technology, space travel, time travel, parallel universe, extra terrestrians life. That things are put it in the fictions, and afterwards that growth of consciousness of scientific and innovation of Frankenstein by Mary Shelley in 1823. There is one novel written by Mary Shelley in 1823, Frankenstein, and that is based on the science and technology. And half of the 19th century that fictions, science fiction also the best sellers in that. विज्ञान कथा, काल्पनिक तांत्रिक कथा भविष्यातील परिस्थिती, भविष्यकाळातील विज्ञान, तंत्रज्ञान, अंतराळ, भविष्य, भ्रमण, टाइम ट्रॅव्हल, प्रतिसृष्टी, परग्रहीय जीवन यातील कल्पित संकल्पनांचा आधार असतो. विज्ञान कथेत अनेक वैज्ञानिक आणि नवकलांमध्ये संभाव्य परिणाम शोधण्याचा प्रयत्न केलेला असतो. Detective fiction is a subgenre crime fiction and mystery fiction in which the investigator and the detective, either professional or amateur, investigation of crime, often the murder. So in that detective fictions, there are some related on base investigation, detective either, and amateur investigation, crime, often murder. That is on related to the detective fiction in Marathi. डिटेक्टिव्ह, गुप्तहेर कथा, रहस्यकथा, गुन्हेगारी कथा, रहस्यकथांचा उपप्रकार. यामध्ये अनुभवानुसार व्यावसायिक गुप्तहेर एखाद्या गुन्ह्याला किंवा गुन्ह्याचा तपास करतो. दॅट इज वॉट इन डिटेक्टिव्ह फिक्शन्स. सो नाव टुडे यू विल लर्न दॅट types of novels. There are so many types of the novel you will learn today. You will study well and make you can take or write down some kind of the notes and send me in my personal number. Thank you.